This is a Viva PR podcast.
Some of the most mind-blowing stories have just been from people. Trying to lend my belt to Brian Blessed because he'd effing forgotten his effing belt, and then Ruth Mannix saying, "Brian, stop swearing in front of the young lad." And I'm like, this is ridiculous. I'm not worried about AI or that proliferation, is because it's now making it easier for those bits that need our help to stand out. If it changes what people think, feel and do, then it's worked.
If today's episode of PR in the Real World doesn't make you chuckle at least once, well, I'd demand my money back. Our guest has packed so much into life. He's been a model shop assistant, an estate agent, martial arts teacher, a TV presenter, even a stand-up comic. Now, as founder and MD of Bigtank, a video production company, he's been telling human-centred stories for well over 20 years. Clearly, Rob Hallam, or, well, you may know him as Reverend Bob, took the path least followed. But what he's built with his firm is a great reputation. And in this episode, he's been really open, honest, and funny with us. Rob talks about his early struggles with shyness, about what it's taken to build a successful business, and he also talks about the secret ingredient for creating great video content. Spoiler alert, it's not about the technology. But I think my favourite part of our chat is how open he is about the pressures of running a business and what that does in terms of your mental health. So I think you should stick around for this. It's a good one. Rob, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for the invite, Tony. Lovely to be in the hallowed turf of Viva PR, multi-award-winning Viva PR.
Now. So let's get back to the beginning, and we'll talk about you, not us. You've been the face of Bigtank for a long time, but people might not know you've got a bit of a hinterland. So tell us about your work life before you got into all this kind of video malarkey.
Yeah, I was kind of a late starter into deciding what I wanted to do with my life. My brother was the academic one, and I was the one who could wire a plug from a very early age. Went to college to do A-levels and messed them up, and then retook them, and then just left and went to work in Bury Model Shop, which is where my adoration for the Tamiya brand was cultivated, for radio control cars and things, and spent 2 wonderful years working in retail and not really realising it at the time, but getting out of my shyness and meeting people and talking to people. And
your face lit up when you said model shop. You obviously have good memories.
Because I think, I've always been from again being 4 or 5 into building kits and stuff. My mum and dad would always facilitate that. But yeah, it was a really happy time. But I suppose it piqued my interest in business a bit, but more just meeting people, and some of the guys who'd come in and, spend the whole day in there. God knows why they weren't at work, but just chatting, and you'd meet people who were in the army or the forces, or we had a couple of traffic police that used to come in while they were on duty for
like early Goers episodes.
Yeah, absolutely, and it was great, but I realised it wasn't a long-term career. So then from there, I went to Antler Luggage, which I think they might have knocked it down now in Bury, but to be a corporate luggage salesman, which was as amazing as that title suggests. But again, met some very interesting people, and then did 3 summers on the bounce at Camp America, teaching martial arts in North Carolina, and that was what life-changing. That's when I realised there is more to life than Bury.
Yeah.
Whilst I've still spent most of my life in this area. And
so what did you do at Camp America? What?
I've done martial arts since I was 10. I'm a little bit slower now than I used to be, but as a qualified instructor, I used to run a taekwondo school in Bury.
Right. Be careful what you said.
It'd take me a while to stand up and hobble over, and then, but if you're still there in 10 minutes, watch yourself. And just heard that summer camps in America come over to Manchester and look for people with certain skills like football or archery and things. And I was the martial artist, and I was terrified to leave home and go to, but it absolutely changed my life.
So is it like 6 weeks or so?
2.5 months.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was just
Yeah.
Incredible. I've still got lots of lifelong friends that I met there. But yeah, just sort of dragged me out of the local sort of mindset because up until then, I lived kind of all right at Helmshire, but you know, within 20 minutes of Bury, I went to school round here. I went to college, my first job, and you start to think that, you know, even going to London was like a nervous. So you know, that was, I suppose, then ignited a passion for travelling and just meeting people, getting out there and seeing what's on offer.
And you told me that you ended up working in an estate agent in Bolton, which was another kind of cul-de-sac.
Yeah, well, I think that was having done. I did Camp America and then thought, right, I need a career. So I think I went to Antler then, and then as it came round to March, April, I'm thinking I'm going to go and do summer camp again. And then did that for kind of 3 summers, and then I think my parents were like, so I thought, estate agency, that sounds great, doesn't it? Just get to meet people and have a look around houses. And yeah, I got a job at Reeds Rains, Crompton Street in Bury, first of all. Cried on the way home when I found out the branch manager was 3 years younger than me. And thought, what have I done with my life? But thoroughly enjoyed it, and Matthew got promoted, and then I was given the managerial spot about 8 months in. And then soon after that, promoted again to Bolton, and then I realised I absolutely do not enjoy this. Going from Bury to Bolton was, again, my knowledge was, well, it's just like, you know, Rochdale, Bury, Bolton, Burnley, they're just towns. But Bury was very manageable and very small, and not a slight on people from Bolton, but it was like going from Helmshire to London in my mind. And I was very, very unhappy. And at the time, all I wanted, my reason for living, was so that I could have a mustard yellow Lotus Esprit. Because I still live with my parents.
Yeah.
So I didn't really need money, because and I had a poster on the wall of this mustard yellow. And I'd been to see Christopher Neal in Northwich, worked out what the payments were. And again, I'm not paying any board or anything. I think I'd be, 26, 27 maybe at this stage.
Right.
And earning not silly money, and the day that I worked out that I could meet these payments, my world fell apart, because I thought, for a car, all this stress and all this. I remember it was in retrospect a wonderful moment, but I just thought, is that it? Yeah. Am I doing all this stress? Because the more houses you sell, they want you to sell more, and then we'll just sell more. And so I was sat in the office in Bolton overlooking and just thinking, I'm just going to leave. And I was like, wow. My father, who is perhaps looking down, not on the roof, that old joke goes, but he's passed away a few years ago. But when I just phoned Paul Clark and said, Paul, I'm leaving. He's like, what are you doing that for? Okay, move on. My mum was like, you go for it, darling. My dad was like, what have you done? Yeah. But it gave me time to sort of think about, I think I'd like to perhaps follow my brother's footsteps and go and work in that telly.
So that was there a particular light bulb moment around that you know, media and telly being the thing for you? Or? Yeah, well, I've always been creative, never with year-end figures, just in case anyone from BM&M or anyone's listening. And interested in comedy and although very shy, sort of performing. So even at the estate agents, I used to do impressions of staff and everything that an estate agent manager shouldn't do. And used to make people laugh and quite enjoyed that. And my brother had gone, he's 3 years older than me, had gone into telly from uni down in London. And at the time when I'm in sales, I felt like I had the career, because he's a runner, so he's brewing up and he's earning very little money. And then suddenly he's kind of qualified or whatever, and then he's making clubbing documentaries in LA and Tokyo. And he did, many years ago, he did this amazing trip in Gaza, filming, you know, Palestinians and Israelis coming together and clubbing and all this. And it was just, and I'm flogging houses in Bolton. Yeah. And I wasn't really motivated by money, and I just thought it sounded, he was putting his life and energy into telling stories and creating. So I said to him, I think I want to work in telly, but even better than that, because I feel a bit confident, I want to be a TV presenter. And he said, I'll just stop you there. He said, that's great, but do not, if you're approaching telly companies, do not tell them you want to be on telly, because everybody does, and they'll get 1 million CVs a day. So he said, send out some letters. He helped me write the covering letter, and he said, send them, put them on coloured paper and put them in a pink envelope.
being different.
Right.
So
stand out from the crowd.
Which in the industries we're in now, you know, it's still. And I must have sent over 100 letters. I heard nothing back, maybe 2 replies saying no. And then I got a phone call after I was thoroughly dejected and thought, what have I done? You know, I need to go and get a proper job, from Michelle Parker at Granada TV, who I'd been put onto by Paul Crone, who came to film a model car, radio control car racetrack in Farmworth. And he came to do a feature about motor racing in the Northwest, but it was actually model cars. And I just said to him, and he said, drop Michelle Parker a letter. She's lovely. Put it on the coloured paper, pink. And she phoned me up, and I remember answering, going, hello. I was like, it's from ITV. Oh, hello. Yeah. And she said, I've had this letter sat on my desk, this glowing envelope. And she said, and I've opened it, and I'm intrigued to know why an estate agent manager wants to come and just do something in telly. Come in for a chat. That went really well. And I said, look, I've not got a media degree. And she actually said, kind of, again, no disrespect to anyone who's worked hard and got that, but she said it's quite refreshing and we're interested. So come in for a week's trial. I turned up on the first day in my 3-piece suit and my polished shoes, still estate agent mode. Obviously didn't do that the next day. And it was just immediately, this is incredible. This is where people work, and the energy, and I've worked in that industry ever since. So thank you, Brad, my brother, and the coloured paper.
That's what did it. So what was it like working in tele? What kinds of things, what kinds of programmes were you doing, and what kinds of roles were you assigned?
I started off in the newsroom, again, as a runner, and most of my peers there would have been early 20s. And I forget the dates, I maybe say 27, something like that. But because I'd had that sort of sales career and done lots of fairly mundane, well, I thought mundane things, because they weren't really suited to me. It was just, I'm on the, making cups of tea for Lucy Meacock and So Ramen. And that was like, for us, where telly was a bit different then. I've watched these guys on the telly growing up. Yeah. They're like celebs, and they were.
Yeah, they were gods.
And then on the Friday evening one, they'd have the local celebs in who were doing theatre shows. So Michael Crawford and Ruth Madder, Jimmy Cricket, trying to lend my belt to Brian Blessed because he'd effing forgotten his effing belt. And then Ruth Madder saying, Brian, stop swearing in front of the young lad. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. It was incredible. And I think that just constant, and the sort of the feedback I was getting, where he was asking me anything.
So when did you get the nerve to tell people that you wanted to be in front of the camera? Well,
again, with Paul Crone, who I don't know if he's still on the telly, but I sort of confided in him, and he again thought, there was just meeting so many lovely people. I remember they said, well, let's put a little taster together for you, and I was like, this is ridiculous. So we did I can't remember what a
little show reel.
Yeah, and they got the ITV crew to come and film it, and I presented some stuff, and a mate of my brother's who had a Ferrari brought that to Castlefield, and it was left on drive, so I could pretend I was driving it. And yeah, we did that, and it was pretty rubbish and didn't really go anywhere. But someone at Menham Motors, which was connected to Granada, who were another part of the building, knew I was really into cars, and had sort of seen this, and they clearly said, well, who can we get to work silly hours with for no money? I've got just the guy. Not many things have changed, really. And yeah, they said, we've got some car shows coming up. Do you fancy it? So
dream job.
Yeah, and that was there when I started to develop comedy stuff and character stuff and learn camera skills, and go to car launches. So we'd be flown around to all over the world.
But you didn't present as Rob the Straight Man as we're hearing today.
Not at first. No, that was where the Reverend was born. So so we were filming with a guy who was very, very Mancunian, and as a presenter, and again, I kind of had this idea for a priest from Salford, who obviously I'm far too posh to have got away with the accent, but called Reverend Bob, And I just pitched it. And because it was Men and Motors and satellite telly and you're filling in the gaps between the adverts, they said, hey, we like the idea of that. Go on then, go and make it. So the first thing I did actually was we did a series with Vanilla Ice and Jordan. And again, I'm still in estate agent mode, sort of. And then I'm at this racetrack in Northampton filming with Vanilla Ice and Jordan, or Katie Price. And because I wrote the scripts for that show.
Right.
Don't know why they let me do that. I just wrote the links to my character.
Right.
So we've got Vanilla Ice saying, and now it's time to meet a new friend of mine. If you haven't been converted to his faith yet, you soon will be. He's the Reverend Bob, the priest unleashed. I don't know, I've never said that for years, but I was like, that's Vanilla Ice introducing my character. And then we filmed these VTs and they're like, yeah, it's all right, that. No one's going to watch it anyway, so it doesn't matter.
So, I mean, that was beautiful, I guess, in at that time, that freedom that you were
do
given.
anything.
Yeah.
I mean, we look back some of it, and perhaps there was a few too many, Scouse accents and Scottish accents and things like that, which perhaps now you might, based on, the characters were perhaps a bit close to the bone. But yeah, it was all just good fun, filling in the gaps because they had a certain amount of hours to make.
Yeah.
And you could make mistakes, you could learn camera skills, and because you had to be self-sufficient. Yeah. But it was just an amazing time. And then we developed that and did more characters, the characters that I then went to do stand-up with, which was just, again, a bizarre. And then started to do a bit more as myself, sort of straight presenting and things. So
you can't just say, I did a bit of stand-up and then just move off. So, like, tell us a little bit about a bit of stand-up and the kids' TV stuff you've not mentioned either. So,
well, because I was going to be a TV presenter, I decided then, and because I was smashing it, making these programmes no one was watching on Men and Motors. But in fact, I was doing some straight presenting there. The Deu Nabira is on YouTube, my first ever, and it's not as bad as I remember it. I filmed on all over Grain Road. We used to do all sorts of stuff, Richard Hammond and stuff, everything we filmed on there. But yeah, I thought, well, I'll go and do stand-up. I'll just do a gig because everyone has on their CV, all these celebs say, oh yeah, and we've done. So, but I thought, again, always wanting to be different, like the envelopes. I thought, well, before this, I'll go and watch some gigs, and I watched some amazing comedians at the Frog and Bucket, and it absolutely terrified me.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of Mancunians talking about Manchester. So I thought, quite good with accents. Spent a lot of time in America. I'll be an American who lives in Manchester talking about Manchester so that I'll be different.
Yeah.
Wrote some stuff, entered a competition at the Frog and Bucket. I won because I had more people from work there. The others came along with their mate and their dog and their girlfriend, and I had 30 people from Granada. So when they said, what do we think, who should win this? And when they were, Bob Cobe, yay! Well done, you've won a 5-minute slot or a 10-minute slot on a Saturday night gig. So I'm like,
that's not
don't really want that, but thanks. So I did this, what was really strange, and I suppose it will allude to perhaps what we'll come on to later about running a business and putting fronts on and things. Because I was a character, the characters didn't get nervous. It was really, really strange because I know it's me. Yeah. So Bob Cobe was American. He was brash.
Can you still remember a bit of Bob?
Oh God, yeah. I can't repeat a lot of it, but yeah. And I could do the accent fairly flawlessly. And I had a separate phone, so if anyone phoned that phone, I would answer it as Bob, so that bookers didn't know that I wasn't.
That takes American. Me back when I was probably around the same time. I was a music journalist, one hat that I had on at the evening paper, and I was into the Bard of Timperley, Frank Sidebottom, and he used to answer his phone
as Frank.
As Frank.
Yeah, I was in the fan club. Yeah, I had to send a postal order for the badge. Yeah,
you and me both. Yes, sorry.
No. Yeah, so I did this second gig, again, a Saturday night, Frog and Bucket, and it just went well. And I think at the time, not to put a maudlin spin on this, but my mum had just passed away.
Right.
And I was kind of in a bit of I don't really care about anything at the minute. I'm not self-destructive, but the nerves and things, It was all, and I think that helped. And yeah, I did this Saturday night gig, and someone came up to me and said, that was great, who's your agent? And I'm thinking, I'm not getting my clothes off just yet, but how does this work? And he said, there's a gig next in Salford or Sale or somewhere. Have you got a 20-minute set? Yeah, of course I have. did that.
That's like running a business as well, isn't
Of course
it?
it
Can
is.
you do that? Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
brilliant. Yeah.
And that went well. And then my 12th gig was the televised final of the BBC New Comedian of the Year in 2002.
Ooh.
Which is like...
Can we find that on YouTube, producer Dan?
I didn't win. Carl Spain should have won that. He was amazing. But Gary Delaney was in it. He gave me some heel plasters because I'd bought some new trainers and got a really bad, so I always thank him for that. That's my celebrity name drop in there. Gary Delaney gave me a heel plaster 23 years ago. Still living the dream.
The compete man.
Again, it was just this roller coaster. But in a way, it was setting me up for a fall, because I'd come from a state agency and then I want to be a TV presenter. Oh, we'll make a pilot for you. You know, we'll do this. Oh, yeah, that will happen. I want to do stand-up. Oh, 12th gig. So you think this is... And then, of course, the inevitable cliff comes, where it all just stops. I still gigging. I gigged for like 10, 12 years. But kind of in my mind, I was keep expecting that momentum just to keep going. And, of course, you have your little blips or your moments of fame or whatever. Yeah. And then it's done and everyone's moved on to something else. Yeah. But yeah, and then, I suppose from there, then characters, Pete Baker, my old boss at Granada, set up a production company, got a series doing Prank Patrol on the Beeb, and knew I was great at voices, so on there I've been Welsh, Australian, a couple of American characters, Bolton, the Bolton Ratcatcher, Cord Brown, and that was amazing as well, just sort of dressing up and being silly with kids. It's just...
I remember the first time you and I met, and it was with my business partner at the time, and he was like, "You're on Rank Patrol. My kids love you. Can we get a selfie? Can we get a selfie?" Yeah. And did you still get that from parents?
Yeah, not kids. We were filming at a school a couple of weeks ago, and people were like, "Hiya, Rob," and I thought, maybe they know me off the telly, and I thought, no, they're probably 15 years too young. And then, of course, I've realised I've got my work polo shirt on that says Rob on there. But there we go. For a moment, I was thinking I've still got it. But yeah, the Reverend Bob is the one that we were at an event last year, and a photographer just sort of, while we're filming and directing, Katie went, "How are you, Reverend?" I was like, oh my gosh, that's... And they've uploaded a lot of them to YouTube, so they're still... but yeah, lots of just... a mad journey, really.
So that are we talking like a 5-10 year period of your life there in this kind of? Yeah,
probably from there, from sort of 2000 until, I set up Bigtank in 2005, and I was still doing stand up until around 2012, 2013, and then I still did bits and pieces after that. But yeah, presenting lots of cannonball runs for ITV. So we used to do those car rallies, the supercars from London to Monaco, and so my company made those shows for ITV, but I also presented them. But then as the corporate video business started to, I then wanted to distance myself from being a clown, basically, because I'm more confident with it now and happy to, but for a while I didn't want those worlds to, because you can't be talking to someone about making videos, I thought at the time, about, for corporate videos or big business or things around mental health, and then the next minute you're on stage with a wig on pretending to be Australian.
So what led you to start Bigtank? Because on the surface things were going well and you had all these diversions and going on, but what made you think, Bigtank, this is what the world needs?
I think probably a bit of, I say youthful arrogance. I wasn't a youth, but from that, having worked for other production companies, and that one of the things was, because coming from a service industry, so the estate agents, and then going into media. At the time, there never seemed to be any aspect of customer service. We were making TV programs, and we were creative, and certainly with some of the the independents that I've sort of freelanced for and worked with, I thought it felt odd to me that we're just making content. Let's not worry about the audience so much, and so I thought, well, I've built up a massive contact list, because when I was making the Men and Motors shows, you're kind of self-sufficient, which again was probably the people I work with there have gone on to be series directors of Top Gear, Fifth Gear, working on the Grand Tour, Emmy Award from that pool of, because it taught you how to be self-sufficient. So I had all the contacts for every element of production, had some good ideas. I like writing. So I thought there might be an opportunity here that we can perhaps do it and try and take care and run it in a way that we feel is better. And again, I hope that doesn't sound arrogant, but why do we set up businesses? Because we see an opportunity, and I think we can do it hopefully in a better way. And it just kept. It was a lifestyle business for a while, but then you think.
I can completely empathise with that. When I set up Viva in 2002, and an exact same thought had entered my head 6-8 months before. I can do this better, and then worked out actually how we were going to do it. Yeah. It took me a long time to get around to doing it better, but
we'll nail it one day.
Yeah,
well,
yeah. So tell us about Bigtank then, for listeners who aren't aware of the success story that is the Bigtank vehicle.
Yeah, well, we're 20 years old this year, 2025. So, and we started off on the back of the automotive content, again, because of my sort of presenting and my links into telly. I was able to pitch ideas, and then I guess is how a lot of TV productions start. So, and we can make it as well.
Yeah.
And we weren't really making any money at all, and I was employing mates, but we had, we create some really great stuff, because then we're not commercially aware. We just want to make this. So if the budget says you've got 5 days edit, let's spend 20 days on it, because we want it to be the best it can be. And we'd do that, and we'd be asked back. So the Cannonball with a guy called Conrad, who was like the entrepreneur and the founder, I think we did 8 rallies with him. He just kept, it was great, and people just kept coming back. So it went from a lifestyle business. Didn't have kids at that point. It was just Claire and I. So you don't need as much money. And we thought, people, we love your approach. We love your energy. We love the team you've got. And again, we're very lucky to work with just some really clever people, but people.
Yeah.
I know on your stairs you've got, I forget the quote.
Proper people. It's one of our values. Yeah.
And we realised that, yes, the quality, the output was really good, but that's kind of subjective, certainly back then. But the energy we had and the can-do attitude, people were coming back. And then we started to do, maybe there's some corporate video work we can do. And again, through a contact, guy's got a tipper truck building business, and he knows someone. I think my mate Rob has and you do that, and you start to, and then and a lot of stuff for free, a lot of stuff, and then we kind of looked back and thought, hang on, we've got repeat business, and we're starting to understand the financials a little bit more. Still probably putting too much into them, but that paid dividends, because you get a reputation for great content and being lovely to deal with, and that's really important to us.
Yeah,
that, I know nice is a try it word, but just like a nice experience, rather than a lot of, at the time in media, these we're the creatives, we'll tell you how to do it. No, let's have a bit of this, and and it just kept growing from there.
You've always put great store on meeting people and being that proper people. And but also about storytelling and getting to the heart of the stories that people either have hidden or that they want to tell. And I think, from my perspective, working with you guys over the years, that's been what sets you apart. There are production companies out there that are really good technically, but don't really understand that storytelling arc that you guys have. Yeah,
and I think, again, we're all on our own journeys. Rather, if we were the only brilliant company out there that could do what we do, and then I'd be talking to you from space maybe now with Elon Musk in a hot tub. We'll part that one. If you want to edit anything out, that can come out if you want, but equally leave it in. But yeah, it's just, I think it's, and increasingly as time has gone on, it's our tagline at the minute, because we do change them, is content that matters for brands that care. It's just, some things are harder. When we were chatting the other day, I mentioned we did a job about an electric cat litter tray, which was just mind-blowing.
I mean, you're going to have to explain now.
So it has a privacy hood, to respect the cat's privacy, because it's fine when they're being sick on your duvet at 3 a.m. They don't need privacy then. Yeah, the cat goes in, and my genius, this is why I'm paid the big bucks as a director, Tony, has thought, well, we can't show fake turds, but my kids were very little at the time, and they had those wooden blocks that you knock through, and we had sort of 3 coloured like cylinders,
yes,
made out of wood. I thought, stunt cat poo. But anyway, the cat goes in, comes out, this thing whirs into life, and it's gone, and it stores it away, and it's so we did that for PetSafe. And it was like it was worth buying a cat for, just to. So the story there is probably hard to get a really emotional, but still, if you're a cat,
it's not Forrest Gump, is it?
Not really. It's not a Schindler's List award winner, but the work where we're involving people, and we've done a lot of work over the years around mental health and suicide prevention, and a lot of work with legal firms, capturing stories of people who are having, hellish times at life. And I think that's what helped us hone that. It's not, of course, it's got to look good, it's got to be well lit, you've got to have the sound, but capturing that moment of someone telling you something that's so important to them, you've got to get that bit right. And that has kind of, I think there's not many elements of life now where that isn't important, even if it's someone saying how great a holiday was, or they don't all have to be somber, but just treat it with a bit of respect and try and work, and all the team are really good with people and being interested in people.
Yeah, you've got to build that trust and empathy, haven't you, if you're going into those kinds of areas, you can't just be focused on the technical. Because all the kind of like gubbins, the microphones, the cameras and so on, they're off-putting enough as it is.
Yeah, it's that, it's being genuinely interested. And if you can't, then we're perhaps not the best people for that, for that job.
Is there a particular project that stuck with you that you remember that you can share with us?
Yeah, and hopefully it doesn't come across as a PR answer, but it's absolutely the true one. So just to put this in context, we've filmed all over the world. We've done the Tokyo Motor Show. We did the Golden Eagle, the most luxurious train in Russia. Obviously, this was before it all sort of kicked off. Head office for Golden Eagle luxury trains, the most luxurious train in Russia.
No idea.
Altrincham.
Of course.
So why wouldn't it be?
Yeah.
So there we spent 20 days away. We're filming out of helicopters. We're filming on motorboats in Lake Baikal, steam trains, filming in Mongolia and the Dam Festival. Amazing stuff. The film or films that absolutely I would be most proud of, we did some work with Creative World on suicide prevention.
Right.
And we did some interviews with people, and they were one camera, with them looking into camera, and we use a mirror box thing, so whilst they're looking into camera, they're actually looking at one of us, like at the time it was Josh or myself, sharing these stories of how they were on the cusp of taking their lives, and what happened to, and it was the most, just, and one camera, it's nicely shot, but it's this person just having the power and the guts and the emotion and and we know that from feedback that it absolutely Lake Baikal and Reverend Bob were pretty cool, but that just and we're not taking credit for the effectiveness of that, but as a part of just incredible, because it doesn't get more raw than that. And there was a couple, I remember, for a legal case study, whose daughter had been released from a secure unit sort of by mistake, really, and she took her own life. And to be in their house with this couple willing to tell our story, they got the law changed in the end.
Wow.
It's like, hopefully it's not disrespectful to the people that have passed, but it's a privilege to think, wow, that we're trusted, that we can capture that story. I say apologies to go on it, but that's why they're the ones that I think,
Obviously, over the years you've worked with lots of different people. What makes a good client relationship work? What's the perfect brief and outcome look like? Yeah,
I think I choose my words. As you know, you've known me a long time, Tony. I'm an overthinker, and I never want to say anything that sounds disrespectful to the other party. But I think clients that are on a journey, and you know, you'll have worked with these teams that I can't wait to get in the meeting with you because they've got ideas and they can really see what that outcome looks like. They're great for us, and we have a great, you know, repeat relationship, and you know, we do get clients that say, we want you to film this, we want you to put your laptop in the studio and make it look cool. Brilliant. You know, they still want it to be, you know, if people say we've got an event and we just need a bit of footage, we do those as well. It might not be the best use because there's some amazing videographers out there who for whatever, 300-500 quid, you know, will go out and capture some footage, and you don't need us for that. Just as there'll be a time and a place for someone to write something on ChatGPT and it'll do the job. But yeah, those ones where they start with, this is what we want to achieve. If they say, you know, and sometimes it's like, look, we've got this budget, but this is what we want to achieve. That's still great. If it's how much is half day's filming, or how much is an hour of edit, we'll always ask why and what do you want to achieve. But you know, if it's financial driven, and I don't think we're, well, compared to sort of, you know, Manchester-y type prices in London, and we do a lot of work in London. Yeah. We're pennies compared to some of those. But yeah, just again, passion and a real not wanting to, you know, create content that's going to be just disposable or chip paper. Or
I mean, it's interesting these days. Everyone's a content creator, and we've all got these little devices that, you know, we can shoot, you know, 4K video, and you know, Gidgee mics are really cheap now. So what's the difference, do you think, between an okay video and an effective video? If
it changes what people think, feel and do,
yeah,
then it's worked, if that's positive.
Yeah.
So we probably since COVID really, we do a lot of work training companies in-house how to use tablets and phones. Yeah. Because let's say you're working at a factory and you're getting a £500,000 CAD machine being delivered, and you get their head of engineering or their apprentices and they're on their phone saying, oh my gosh, exciting times here, look at this thing, it's been just shipped over from Japan, this is going to change our world and it's going to change our clients' world. And do that on your phone, that's amazing. See that, wow. Yeah. People think, oh, they're really excited about this machine. As long as you tell them why it's exciting for your customer's point of view as well, yeah. Brilliant. Yeah. If you're trying to pitch for, you know, a multi-million-pound contract to do cleaning and security or that sort of, if the MD's mate's lad's son's doing a course at uni or college or whatever, no disrespect, don't let them anywhere near it. Because if you're talking about, you know, precision, attention to detail, but you can't be bothered to again, that's a harsh choice, but you know, to invest in that properly, it's going to have the absolute opposite effect. Because in this day and age, people are looking at everything. Things like, I'm looking across from you now, you've got a Viva pad. I don't think it's, you know, it's pretentious or whatever. I think it's Viva. It's just, it's polished, but in the right way. It's attention to detail. The space we're in now, it's clean. You're doing it properly because that's your brand. If there was wires and things and you're cobbling it together and there's a disconnect, I think, between, hang on, this is not what I think Viva is. Yeah. The care and attention over these, hopefully it's not giving away too many trade seekers, but half-hour chat yesterday, notes, you're emailing her, because you're doing it in the Viva way. Yeah. All those signals, no matter how small they are, people are picking up on them. So if you say we are a business that excels and then you kind of throw in, you know, you're doing something that's at odds with that, people will, yeah, that gets logged. Like, you know, you'll see amazing branded vans, you know, and then there's a free serve still email address, yeah, or at Gmail. Yeah. For me, I kind of think, oh, yeah, so maybe they're trying to be, maybe wrongly. So for us, it's aligned with your brand, and there are businesses that thrive. Look at like the Red Bull and the social media type. Jenna, who was our amazing apprentice, who left to go and do this amazing thing. She's doing lots of work around Red Bull and extreme sports, and so much of that world now is mobile devices. Yeah. But it's brilliant because it's raw, it's in the moment. Yeah. If you're a nuclear engineering firm, or you're trying to do a polished message or a bit of crisis management, oh my gosh, put those phones away. Write some text if you can't, if you can't approach it properly.
But how do you sell this idea of professional storytelling to clients? Is it hard, or is it, if you have to sell it, then move on to the next one? Because the temptation these days must be to like DIY it, get the kids who've got glued to the phones. They must be good at this.
Yeah, absolutely, and a lot of them they will be. But again, our conversations start. A client will come to us and say, like Vika, who we do, sort of HR and that thought leadership, and brand content with. A great example, because they come to us and they say, this is what we want to achieve. This is what, not how much is it for half a day's filming. By the way, if anyone is going to ask us that, that's fine. It's not, you won't get lambasted for asking that. And we would say, right, what are you wanting to achieve? So we had a client conversation last week where they said, we've got an anniversary coming up and we want to put a load of budget into making a film to celebrate that we've turned 30 years old. And our first thoughts are, that's going to have a very, very short lifespan. Yeah. And so in that conversation, we're like, what do you want people to think, feel and do? Okay, well, we want them to think that, and sometimes a client's brief will be, well, that's a little bit at odds at that, or you don't need to spend a lot of money on this. Yeah. And there was a client a while back, they were having an open day of a showroom and they wanted us to film the opening. And again, why? Well, to show the showroom off, and it's a moment in time. Yeah, but a week later, no one will care you've got a new showroom. And they said, said, who's coming to it? Well, we've got loads of clients coming up from Cornwall and Southampton, and they're staying over. What? To come to your opening? Yeah, they absolutely love us. Here we go. Right. Why are they coming up? Because we've supported them. Right. What we need to do then, that budget. Yeah, of course, we'll say, hey, great, we've opened a showroom, but let's interview those people. Why are they giving up 3 days out of their schedule to come and celebrate with someone who provides them technical support? And it was great. And it's thinking about what's the impact. Or we want you to make our electric cat litter tray look amazing. No problemo. We'll do that as well.
What kind of trends are you seeing in the business world now, in people's approach to video over the 20 years? What's changed and what do you see coming up over the horizon?
Quite rightly, it's so much more accessible. Even around COVID time, getting people to do things on webcams, and you'll know that from Lancashire. Oh, I think June in accounts might have one on her laptop, but oh no, come and see us, sort of stuff. But now the sort of proliferation of that, and it's great because it's allowing us to see inside a business. The apps and things which I think are sometimes oversold, that you can create. Take an hour-long interview and just with this one click, you can break it up into, I get the idea, but, go for it. And if it's working for you, but almost why I'm not worried about AI or that proliferation is because it's now making it easier for those bits that need our help to stand out. Yeah. Because they look different, they feel different, the story's different. And again, there's a time and a place for that. You don't need that for everything, but when it does, and it instantly. So we get, even from things like the webcams that we use on our Zoom chats, because we've got the kit. We have a £1,000 setup. People go, oh wow, God, your picture's so clear, and is that a virtual backdrop? And because straight away our first touch point is showing we do things very well. Yeah. But yesterday I had one. I held up on a shoot, so I'm in the van with a headset on, and there's nothing you can do about that. No. But yeah, use video. It's just such a. But equally, I put a vlog out recently about the people that care will care that you cared, which was a bit clunky. That's because I didn't use ChatGPT. It would have come out with something much better. But I thought, yeah, that's that. Not everyone will care that we use this sort of kit or that we tell stories or things, and they don't need to. No. But the ones that we feel are right will care.
I'll try and remember that, the care bit. You've been running, as you said, Bigtank for 20 years. I just wondered if you'd had a chance, because of that milestone coming up, to reflect on some of the high points and maybe some of the kind of like lessons learned or the hard days.
Not really. It's still, there's some weeks feels like a startup. And
Really?
we've got so much to do and so much we want to do. And there's other times when I think I should have been a plumber, or God forbid my kids go into, it's, I suppose, but a lot of that is probably called running a business.
Yeah.
We've had to, and it is, we've got some picture montages on our walls, and to look back and like then just talking about the Lake Baikal thing, which you forget because, as I say to my kids who are 11 and 13, celebrate the wins, because lots of people have been telling me that, because I berate myself, we'll have 99 things went well, one thing didn't, that'll be the one that, and that's why it's nice to reminisce and to talk about, God, do you remember when we did? And then it was someone the other day, I think I was having a bit of a downer and thinking, because it's a tough time for us all. And they said, you're still doing this. You've been in business for 20. Yeah, but we've been a bit lucky. And they're like, no, shut up. You're still doing it. And you've got a team and you're profitable and you've got repeat business. So celebrate what you've come through, but never take anything ever for granted. Because we've had a few moments where we thought, we're here now. We've made it,
yeah,
and you haven't.
Tell me about that. I mean, you and I in the past have discussed some of the kind of mental toil that running a small business has on you. If you're happy to tell me about how you some of the darker days that you've had, and how you've coped and come through them.
Yeah, I think I remember when I went back to night school to do an A-level. I got an E, but still a pass. I've still got the certificate framed. Absolutely. Right at the entrance to the house, people come in. But I was very proud of that because I flunked them first time round. But Mr. Eastham, he was called, business studies. He was brilliant. And he said, very lonely running a business. And he said, it'll be very, very lonely. Just, if any of you go to set up, and at the time I didn't know I'd run a business. And I always remember that because I'm quite gregarious. I've done presenting and stand-up and things, but inside I'm there's times very, very insecure and crippling self-doubt, which in some respects I know that's why we're driven to always try and make sure that every customer experience, I'm not just doing this as a sales pitch, but is brilliant and exceptional and cared about, and every bit of content. But there's sometimes when you can't do that, or the client says, well, that's all well and good, but you've only got 2 days to turn this around and things, and just that inner turmoil. And then also those days when you think, who told me I could run a business? I'm an idiot who dresses up as a priest doing accents, and now I'm the managing director of a business with staff and insurance policies. And, and we've done work with like American Air. I remember going to a meeting with an airline company that use Mercedes trucks. So they do all the airline catering food for British Airways. And the meeting was at Heathrow. And I thought I'll drive down in the night just because I want to. So I left at 4. By the time I'd got down to Heathrow, what is this idiot? Not Bigtank Productions, who work with Mercedes trucks and all these. This Wally from Rami, and again, the inner voice. And you're going to go and meet guy from the catering company, guy from the people that manufacture the bodies on the top, someone from Mercedes, and I'm sat in the car park. Fortunately, I had like an hour early, and I could have so easily just turned round. Yeah. But then, and it was really alarming. Yeah, because I just let this inner voice, and I was like, no, why are you here? And this, what? Well, because you've been recommended, and went into the room and these 6 people are looking at me. Oh, the guy with all the answers is here. And still there's a bit of that. And I remember, I just started talking about what we do, and immediately knew we'd got them on side. But that moment, that self-doubt.
Have you got the Rob Bigtank persona that you can pull on for those days? Or
not really, because I think it is what you see is what you get. And obviously 20 years in business, and people, there's lots of people who I've alluded to about, and I'm now quite happy to say I'm insecure at times and things, because from a commercial point of view, the fact that I might, you know, have very dark times and things, look at the work, and I'm most confident when we're on a project, because I know what I'm doing there.
Yeah.
It's outside of those and that real life stuff where I'm a little bit sure where I fit.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, and thanks for your honesty. I think most people listening today, and virtually every guest who sat in that chair has talked about the imposter syndrome, feeling it all the time. When we were chatting yesterday, you talked about the analogy of, you know, you're a big F1 fan and the kind of support teams that they get, but running a small business, you're not allowed to have that. Well, you don't allow yourself to kind of have any doubt, because you don't want to look daft in front of the team or the client or the supplier.
You're not just exactly that. You've got to be robust. You know, it's never happened, but, you know, you've got a big team. If they walk in one morning, you're crying at your desk, well, that's going to be a good old start to the. And maybe it does happen, and maybe, you know, but the thing is, you're absolutely.
Every time Bolton have lost, and that's quite often.
Yeah, the crazy thing is, you'd be entitled to do that, but you can't. I know that there was, and the Formula One thing. You look at. So I'm clinging on to try and keep watching Formula One, but it's testing my patience. But you look, they have a physical fitness manager. They have a strategy manager. They have a health manager. They have a mindset coach. And as business owners, this isn't me saying woe is me, because it's my choice, but often you're there, you're the MD. So you know all the answers, you know all the strategies. Any of the team are having a bad day. That's the role. But often there's no one there to and I'm not necessarily saying there should be, but if as you say, if anyone's listening to this and they sometimes think, oh God, I know what you're entitled to, because it's you've got a lot on your plate.
And if you actually talk to other business owners, you do find that actually, but I feel exactly the same. You know, you and I have had talks about this, but there's, you know, we aren't the only ones out there who feel a little bit, oh my God.
Yeah, there was a campaign, I think a few years ago, a mental health campaign, and it said it's okay to not be okay. Yeah. And I would say, not if you're a business owner. No offence to whoever came up with that campaign, because I think it's, you know, an amazing. But if you've got two identical companies with the same teams and the same output, but one of those business owners says, I stayed in the office late last night and didn't know where my purpose was in life, and thought, what on earth are we doing? And I don't think I'm cut out for this. And they shared that. You kind of use the other company. And I think it's natural you would. But equally, we do need more, I think, prestigious businesses and more confident businesses to talk on this level and say, sometimes I struggle, but I've got a brilliant team, or say, you know, that sort of thing.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, because you can get business coaching at every level, can't you? On the HR side, on the finance side, on the product side, etc. But on the openness there, it's really not there. I have a mate down the road who's run a small legal operation for years, and I remember him, must be 20 years ago now, saying the government spends a fortune on trying to encourage people to set up their own business through enterprise, and bangs the drum for enterprise. But there really should be a government health warning on running your own business as well.
Well, over the years, I've had quite a few sort of mental health coaches. I've done the talking therapy service through the NHS, which was amazing. And we're actually working with them as well as a client, doing some work. And that's when I thought, let's give this a go. And I'm quite proud to talk to people about that, because why is it any different, as you say, to having a business coach or a finance coach? I'm just having a coach to help me, you know, sort out thoughts and things, and to hopefully make me appreciate what's going on a bit better. Well,
thanks for sharing there, and I'm sure that there'll be lots of people listening who go, I get that. Let's take the mood up then. Let's look at the positives. What are you most proud of in your Bigtank years?
Still being here.
Yeah.
Still loving it most of the time. Yeah. Very proud to still have Rob, my first member of staff. And couldn't do it without him. The fact that he still wants to put up with me after all these years. is great. And I think we were at the Chamber of Commerce ball on Friday night, just gone, with fancy dress. Claire, my wife, sort of came with us, and I wasn't drinking, just to say, this was all in the cold light of soberness. Just felt, wow, this has come from the opportunities we've had through work, and you just people that you see, like how I've known you. I see you, it's Tony, and you almost forget you know people through work.
I'm not a hugger, Rob, but not.
Oh, that's another story. I tried to go in there once, didn't I? Never again. I woke up from the taser and thought, no, do not. But it was just great. It just felt really good, and all these. So we met some amazing people through work who you just think you really trust and just seem to care about you. And I think it's great, but also doing work that absolutely helps businesses, and the fact that they I think more than 82.7% of our work is repeat according to the algorithm, and that's good because they're not coming back just because we're cheap or because we do that video stuff that apparently they need. They love working with us, and what we do is commercially effective. So despite what my mind might tell me now and again, that they're only doing that because we're nice.
Yeah.
Or, we've got a sustainable, profitable business that we're proud of, that the brand is well thought of, and we employ people who love coming into work, and, that's, you can't hope for much more than that, really.
No, that's pretty good going. So finally, if we gave you an unlimited budget, a camera crew to die for, and no client brief, what's the dream film you'd come up with?
I think Tony Garner, My Journey to Mr. Universe. I think to see those abs and that six-pack, and the guns develop, I think would be a thing to watch.
I might disappoint you there. Too many Haribo in the mix, I think.
I think it would be nice just to. I think, as I alluded to yesterday when we chatted, a business partner I used to work with would get frustrated with me because I'd just stop and chat to people. And I've had some amazing chats from people who were terminal ill, people who've won lotteries, people who gave everything up to go and be a ship's captain, homeless people. And I think to just travel around and capture... no disrespect to celebrities and millionaires, but it's easier to get a hook or an angle there. But some of the most mind-blowing stories have just been from people.
Yeah.
Just who you never know who you're walking past in the street. And I think to have a bit of time and budget to go and seek out the most incredible stories from the most innocuous and normal people, I think would be good, because then, for other people to see that and think we are all, I don't want to get too deep and spiritual, but we are all extremely special. And just because we are on telly or on Netflix or we're a Formula One driver
or on YouTube,
the Rob Hallam Men and Motors special was found the other week, not by me. Apparently I do have the best of, and it's longer than 30 seconds, which threw me. There must be some repeats and slow-mos. But yeah, and again, I'd want to say to my kids and to anyone, whenever you feel that you're not good enough, or you just being you and being on your journey is absolutely knockout, black belt, perfectly fine, and well done, and and keep doing it.
Brilliant. Rob Hallam, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening to PR in the Real World. If you've enjoyed this episode, we'd love it if you could subscribe to the podcast and leave us a quick review. Your support really helps spread the word and reach more marketing and PR professionals just like you. And don't forget to share this podcast with your colleagues or anyone who'd benefit from the insights we share. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time for more tips, strategies and real world stories from the PR frontlines.